Hey everybody! It's that time of the week again, and I have a cough. Oh, how about that? How y'all doing? We are coming to you live from the Jim Alberti Theater, right slap dab in the middle of Peacock Blue Studios in Austin, Texas, where we are keeping it weird. Because Lewis Carroll said, I am not weird, I am not strange, I am not off. My perception is just different than yours. Hear, hear! Time for your fun Texas fact. Texas likes to boast of being the Lone Star State. Ha! Texas, say you were born in 1810 and you lived to 65 years old. You were born in New Spain, and then you lived in France, and then Spain took it back, and then France over in Europe, they invaded Spain. So Mexico had a revolution. Then you belonged to Mexico, and then the United States Texas seceded from Mexico, and the United States absorbed Texas, and then Texas seceded from the United States to be the Confederacy, and then the United States whooped the Confederacy's ass, and you came back to the United States in one lifetime. That is 8 different countries. The Lone Star State indeed. Pull up a seat. Pull up a seat and show me some love. Show me some love. Hit the love button, it will come back to you in infinity. And if you can afford to support me or this broadcast, you can do so via PayPal at Bald Chandler or Patreon and Venmo through the Chris Chandler Show. We got Rachel running props for you. Everybody say hi to Rachel.
Hi, everybody.
How are y'all doing? Y'all up for a story? Say, tell me a story. Say, tell me a story, Chandler. Say it out loud and then type it out on the keyboard.
Tell us a story.
Did anybody say tell me a story?
Nope.
Oh, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to do it anyway. I see how you are. I see how you are. I hope you saw my last week's election story. This is the first one that I've done since the election. I wanted to pull this story out because it sort of sums up how I feel about it. And most of my stories start off with the phrase, my car broke down. Only the time I'm thinking of, the car didn't exactly break down. The engine, it fell out of the vehicle. Now, I don't know if you've ever had the engine fall out of your vehicle or not, but trust me, it is a sight to behold. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, so I called up my oldest friend in the world who said he'd be glad to drive the 3 hours down from Atlanta to get to LaGrange. I sat on a milk crate and panhandled change. Now, I don't know if you've ever tried to panhandle change when you're wearing a t-shirt that says, just say no to a real job. But the folks in LaGrange, they all seemed annoyed as I purchased a Schlitz malt liquor tall boy and went back to my milk crate where I had to wait. I shared my last cigarette with another vagrant who was peddling flowers, and we swapped stories and wasted the hours. And his story had it that these two guys got really drunk on Night Train and MD 2020. They were riding on this boxcar and they got caught and were pulled from the moving vehicle and thrown out and were subsequently killed. And his story had it that their bodies were so polluted with Night Train and MD 2020 that when they were buried in a shallow grave outside of Green Bay, Wisconsin, nothing will grow there to this day. Now, I'm like you. I had to tell my friend that I did not believe his story, but I somehow thought it was beautiful. But this story here is about my friend Frank. See, Frank, he's my oldest friend in the world. We did everything together when we were growing up. See, our buildings faced each other there in Stone Mountain, Georgia. And we had rock wars against each other. We went to kindergarten together. Went through puberty together. Went through juvenile delinquency together. Hell, we even detoxed together. When Frank got there, he did what he does best. What he does to this day, he didn't say a word. Because, see, I failed to mention in this story that Frank, he's an interpreter for the deaf. But he knew the way I'd be feeling, and he just handed me a bottle of tequila, and together we took off about 75 miles an hour past the Shotgun Distilleries. And I started laying it on real thick and heavy to my friend Frank, how I didn't think the past 25, 30, 35 years of my life amounted to a damn thing. Traveling around the country, living in the back of a pickup truck. These days I got a van. Staying in homeless shelters and writing stories about the people that I meet. And maybe every now and then get invited to a fancy folk festival until the pandemic came. And then I started doing a live stream. And now I'm telling these stories here as if they were folk songs. As I started getting real thick and heavy in my self-pity rap, I looked over to Frank for some kind of response. Kind of like I'm looking to you right now. And old Frank, he still hadn't said anything. Instead, he just looked up, which made me look up. And I noticed for the first time these giant iron butterflies ejecting and rejecting their landing gear, which could only mean one thing, that we were headed towards the Atlanta airport, the world's largest airport. You've probably been there, right? If you had to fly from Austin, Texas to Los Angeles, California, you probably had to go through the Atlanta airport just to get there. Anyway, Frank, he exited there on the last remaining exit at Hapeville, Georgia. We were up on this little dirt road. We were fishtailing up along it till we came to this chain link fence. And Frank, he locked him down with, and he hit that front bumper where the front bumper of his car, and that gate slung open, and we found ourselves no longer near the Atlanta airport, but we were in it. And I don't mean in the parking lot. I mean, me and my oldest friend in the world in a small pickup truck managed to get down between the runways, and we were in fact drag racing a 727. And I swear to God, there for a minute we were going to win because we were about flying. We saw this other chain link fence coming on real fast. So Frankie locked him down, donutted around, fishtailed around, hopped out of his car and reached in his pocket, and he pulled out a little white piece of paper and undid a combination lock and pulled that pickup truck inside. And my friends, right now, tonight, here in mid-November of 2022, there sits between the runways of the Atlanta airport about a 20-yard fenced-off area. Now, the reason that 20-yard fenced-off area sits there between the runways of the Atlanta airport is because it is a graveyard. And I don't know how it is here in Texas. I just moved here. But where I'm from in the state of Georgia, you got to ask a family's permission to move a graveyard. My friend Frank's family simply did not give the Atlanta airport permission to move that tiny little graveyard. And I looked down at some of the dates, and they were all there from before the Civil War. And I don't know if y'all know much about the city of Atlanta at all, but to find anything that's there from before what, when Sherman built the first interstate system through to Charleston, you know it's relatively significant. And I looked down at one of the dates, and the one that caught my eye, it said, Emmanuel, age 7, house servant. And I went to ask my friend Frank about that. But old Frank, he still hadn't said anything. Instead, he climbed up on top of the tallest monument. So I climbed up there with him, drinking tequila with my oldest friend in the world, watching these planes take off so close we could actually make out figures in the windows. And I noticed from that height, these planes, they have to jog left and then dart right when they're taxiing into the Atlanta airport. And I started thinking about my measly 20, 25, 30, 35 years of living on the road, how that probably never will amount to a damn thing. But here was the life of one 7-year-old slave who could change, or at least slow down the steamrollers of progress 150 years after his death. And that, my friends, I thought was beautiful. This has been your Poem of the Week. Thanks so much for gathering around, and stick around here for a second so we can chat, and we'll have your moment of spin Think of a number between 1 and 3. This is your moment of drop. Oh, I wanted to tell you that we were supposed to play a show with Karen Mall on the 18th, and that has been canceled because it's cold in Texas. It's going to be 53 degrees, and it was going to be an outdoor show, so we are canceling the 18th, and we are rescheduling, hopefully, for the 9th. But Paul Benoit is going to be coming into town, and we're going to do a show in San Marcos, Houston, Austin, and just outside of Austin near Kerrville. If you'd like to know more about that, go to my website. Do we have a number between 1 and 3?
Irina wants number 2.
Irina knows that the only number between 1 and 3 is the number 2. And Irina is a fine poet. You should check out her work. Observations from the thin highways of fat America. Give me a number between 1 and 135.
Seven, says Randy Williamson.
Randy Williamson. Oh my God. He goes back to the Stone Mountain days. Number 7. In the days that I knew Randy Williamson, that was my favorite number. And that's a different story unto itself. And my friends, freedom is premature reincarnation. Comes complete with a picture. We do this every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Rain or shine at the Jim Alberti Studios, slap dab in the middle of Peacock Blue Studios. And we are listening to Pete Weiss and the Weistronauts.